Hey, good morning. How you guys doing? Listen, General Brain Damage here, um, having a discussion about our day yesterday. And we watched some videos. We watched some secular videos. We took in some spiritual information too, um, and he wrote down some stuff. We were listening to David Goggins. If you're not familiar with David Goggins, he's hold on, let me turn this music down. Okay, yeah, David Goggins was talking about, how he got to where, he was at in life, by really exerting himself. And I find it interesting because, he was like a military person and he looks at things from a military standpoint. And he has overcome a lot of obstacles. So it was good listening to him. We both got a lot from that. And you wrote down some stuff. I told you to write down. What did you write down?
Well, it was a couple of things that he said. He said one of the things he said, I consider myself the worst person ever. In my life, I've been feeling like that too, and I wrote down accountability. I got to be accountable for my actions, and he also said, what you fear can own you.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. Let's go back to that first one. You said I consider myself the worst. He did say that, and that was, and then he talked about, first, I guess, realizing where you're at, and then he was able to do something. So now, are you saying personally you feel that way too about yourself sometimes, or you have felt that way?
I mean, yes, I feel that way about myself. Like when I'm being with other people and they,
doing what they do, the drugs and so forth. So, we're gonna keep it because. But let me talk about me first. So, when I was out there and I was doing my dirt, and another thing he brought out, he was like, when you run with a certain crowd of people, that's where you're gonna stay at. And remember, he was talking about how he started running 100 miles. He had to stop running with people that just did 20 miles. He started running to get himself better. He started running with people that were running more miles than him, and that's how he upped his game. And like you were saying, even feeling worse, you get, a lot of times, it's the saying that, people do drugs because they do feel bad about themselves. And I think, for a long time, I felt bad about myself, and didn't understand, why I was feeling the way I was feeling. But when you do get some enlightenment as to what's really going on inside of you, then you can make adjustments. So I like what he was talking about there too.
Yeah.
What's the other point you brought out?
The fear.
The fear, right?
The fear. What the fear on you?
Right.
One of my fears is like alienating everybody, being by myself with nobody to help.
You said that earlier when we were talking, and you made it personal. You said alienate mom and dad and CC, and how you felt that you've done that. And guess what? Me too. That's what you do. That when you're in that state, when you're in that mode, when you're in addiction mode, you alienate people. Especially the people that care about you, because they're not doing that. So they're not down with what we're doing, and it's affecting them negatively. So it's going to cause alienation. And once again, these are good points for us to remember in terms of, I'm trying to see where the time is. Okay. We got to remember this stuff as we, try to cause some interference in our thought process right now. We got to really totally revamp the way we think, about things, what the goals that we're trying to accomplish. And remember, yesterday too, we talked about, we talked about some secular stuff, but then like with God, and then we talked about some spiritual stuff, and I brought up the fact Manasseh, the king of Israel, back during that time, and how it said that he became worse for the nation of Israel and going after the things that the nations did. He made his people, he got worse than them, than the pagans. But interestingly, he turned around. Remember, and what did he do? What was the one thing that it said that he did that touched God's heart? Do you remember?
No.
You know what? I'm gonna pull it. Hand me that Bible right there. I'm gonna pull it. We're gonna look at it. Real quick. Okay, 5 minutes in. Okay, so it was in Chronicles. It's Chronicles. And I'm labeling this point. Okay, here it is. Second Chronicles 33. It says that. Okay. So Manasseh kept leading Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem astray, causing them to do worse than the nations that Jehovah had annihilated from before the Israelites. Boom. Okay. So he's doing all this stuff, really bad stuff, sort of like what we've done, the state that we've been in. And they use the word alienated them from before. So he caused others to be alienated. We are caused to alienate, or we have caused to alienate. And God kept speaking to Manasseh and the people, but he paid no attention. We've done that a lot. I know I've done that a lot. He has spoken to me, and others have spoken to me and said, hey man, change your life, do better. And we paid no attention. And that's what you were doing before, paying no attention. But the good thing is you're paying attention now, and that's good. Whether you are successful after we do these days or not, you're paying attention now, and that's always a good start. So as it goes on down here in 13, it says, and so he gets caught. It says, so God brought against them the army chiefs and the king of Assyria, and they captured Manasseh with hooks, and they bound him with copper fetters and took him to Babylon. So he was in his worst state. He's captured. He's taken away from his kingdom. It says, in his distress, he begged Jehovah God for favor and kept humbling himself greatly before the God of his forefathers. And, well, this is the second thing. He kept praying to him, and God was moved because he kept praying. So the thing that I was saying, he kept praying, and that's important. For those of us who believe in the Bible, who believe in God, prayer is a very powerful tool to use to communicate, to get help with deeply entrenched things, with problems that we can't overturn by ourselves. So again, he was in a situation. He was alienating people. But what did he do? What did he start doing? Well, the first thing it says, he begged. Well, again, he prayed, and he humbled himself. It takes humility. It takes humility to be authentic, and it takes humility to talk about, what you've done, in the past, and me and what I've done, and being authentic. And the good thing, sometimes you might be ashamed of it, but you shouldn't, because you look at where you are now. I look at where I am now and like, yeah, I'll talk about those things. Ask me anything. Matter of fact, when I be going on dates, I said, look, let me tell you the worst stuff first. Let's go there. And if you're still around after I finish telling you all the crazy stuff, then maybe you're the right person. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why I haven't had any dates yet.